The movie starts in 2005, with Schmidt arriving at high school dressed like Eminem. It's prom week, and he approaches a popular girl in the hallway to ask her to the prom, but she rejects him harshly. To make things worse, Jenko, a jock in a Letterman jacket, mocks him. Moments later, Jenko is called to the principal's office and learns he can't attend prom due to his terrible grades, even though he was set to be crowned prom king. Furious, he storms out. 7 years later, Schmidt joins the police academy. To his surprise, Jenko is there too. They quickly realize Jenko is a natural at the physical stuff, while Schmidt is great at studying. So, they team up to help each other pass, and a friendship forms. Their training starts, where Jenko helps Schmidt to pass physical test while Schmidt helps Jenko to pass written exam. Soon after, Schmidt and Jenko graduate as full-fledged cops, pumped up and ready for action, declaring, "Get ready for a lifetime of being badass police officer." But reality hits when they're stuck riding police bikes around a park, spending their days stopping kids from feeding ducks. Things finally get interesting when they spot a motorcycle gang, smoking marijuana. Excited, they confront the gang. While the members mock them, Schmidt discovers a bag of cocaine hidden in one of their saddlebags. The gang members flee, and Schmidt chases one while Jenko goes after another. Schmidt hesitates to use his gun, leading to him being knocked over and allowing his suspect to escape, but Jenko successfully apprehends his target. They celebrate their small victory with great enthusiasm. Back at the police station, their captain informs them that their arrest is invalid because they neglected to read the biker his Miranda rights. It turns out Jenko is unaware of what those rights are, prompting the captain to assign them to an undercover program that the department is reviving. Schmidt and Jenko arrive at 21 Jump Street, an old, rundown Korean church. There, they meet Captain Dixon, who briefs them and the other recruits on their new mission, going undercover in various high schools. The schools have no idea about the police program, so they need to blend in without getting expelled. Captain Dixon then takes Schmidt and Jenko aside to discuss their specific mission. They will be undercover at Sagan High School due to a new designer drug that has become popular among the students. Dixon shows them a YouTube clip of a student using the drug, who goes through phases of laughter, hallucinations, extreme confidence, and then complete chaos. Tragically, the student has since overdosed and died, making it urgent for Schmidt and Jenko to identify the dealers and locate the supplier quickly. To maintain their cover, Schmidt and Jenko will pretend to be brothers and stay at Schmidt's parents' home. As they settle into Schmidt's old room, Schmidt expresses his worry that they might not remain friends after returning to high school, given that they were never friends back then. Jenko reassures him, saying it's just a job, and he believes he can help Schmidt learn to be cool. On their first day at school, Jenko gives Schmidt some advice: use only one strap on his backpack to look cool. They also show up in a flashy muscle car from the police impound lot, but things have changed since their high school days. Now, all the students use 2 straps on their backpacks, and new cliques like emo kids rule the scene. Schmidt gets distracted by a pretty girl riding her bike, while Jenko gets into an argument with the eco-friendly kids, who hate his gas-guzzling car. Things escalate, and Jenko ends up punching one of the eco kids, who happens to be gay, leading everyone to believe Jenko committed a hate crime. Both Schmidt and Jenko are hauled into the principal's office where they receive a warning. During the chaos, they mix up their fake identities. Now everyone thinks Schmidt is the super athlete and Jenko is in all the advanced chemistry classes. Schmidt heads to drama class, where he sees the girl from earlier, Molly, whose boyfriend, Eric, is the leader of the eco kids. Schmidt starts chatting with Molly and subtly asks about the designer drug. She points him to some graffiti with the dealer's phone number. Schmidt texts the dealer, who tells him to meet at the yearbook office. Jenko and Schmidt then make their way to the yearbook office. There, they find out that the dealer is Eric, Molly's boyfriend. Eric sells them each a hit of the drug, but insists they take it immediately in front of him. They take it and rush to the bathroom, hoping to throw up, but they can't manage to do so. As they return to class, the gym teacher stops them, wanting Schmidt to join the track team, mistakenly believing he is an athlete due to their mixed identities. While talking to the gym teacher, they start to feel the effects of the drug. To escape this situation, Schmidt agrees to join the track team. In drama class, Schmidt becomes overly confident. The drama teacher asks him to audition for Peter Pan, and he impresses everyone. He lands the role of Peter, with Molly as Wendy. However, when he tries to compete in the track meet later, he is in a wild state from the drug and completely botches the event, throwing his relay baton across the finish line. Back at 21 Jump Street, Schmidt and Jenko manage to create a chart for Captain Dixon, identifying all the eco-kid dealers, but they still haven't figured out who the supplier is. Meanwhile, the other undercover cops have already made several arrests at their schools, so Dixon urges them to step it up. Jenko is frustrated that he's no longer considered cool, especially since being smart and tolerant is now what's in, making Schmidt way more popular. Schmidt suggests throwing a party to gain Eric's trust. He calls Molly, and they hit it off, laughing and joking over the phone. She agrees to invite everyone to the party. To make it happen, Schmidt and Jenko send their parents on a trip, then stock up on alcohol and steal drugs from the evidence locker. Jenko also invites the AP Chem nerds, planning to bug Eric's phone during the party. The party kicks off, and Jenko manages to snatch Eric's phone to plant the bug. But just as he's about to return it, Eric tries to leave when some thugs from a rival high school show up. To buy time, Schmidt picks a fight with the thugs. Jenko jumps in to help, and against all odds, Schmidt wins the fight, only to realize he's been stabbed in the shoulder. Jenko pulls out the knife, and despite the chaos, the party keeps going. Meanwhile, Schmidt's parents unexpectedly return home after realizing they forgot their cell phone, busting up the party. Everyone scrambles to leave, but Jenko manages to successfully bug Eric's phone. Thanks to this, Eric trusts Schmidt enough to bring him on board as a dealer. Schmidt takes all the drugs to Captain Dixon and brings the cash back to Eric, making Eric believe he's doing well. However, Eric still hasn't introduced Schmidt to the supplier. In the meantime, Schmidt flirts more with Molly, and Jenko passes time blowing things up with the Chem nerds. As Schmidt hangs out with the Eco kids and Jenko bonds with the nerds, Jenko uses the bugged phone to eavesdrop on Eric. One day, while Schmidt and Molly are in the room where Eric's phone is charging, Jenko overhears Schmidt asking Molly to prom, and she says yes. Shocked, Jenko listens as Eric and the Eco kids enter, making fun of Jenko. Hoping to fit in, Schmidt joins them, even calling Jenko retarded, which catches Jenko completely off guard. Back at 21 Jump Street, the other undercover cops inform Schmidt and Jenko that the designer drug is spreading to their schools. Jenko, still monitoring Eric's phone, hears that a big drug exchange is about to go down. At school, just as Schmidt is about to take the stage as Peter Pan, Jenko warns him they need to stop the exchange. They spot Eric driving off, but their muscle car has been booted for parking in a handicap spot. Desperate, they steal driver's ed and chase after him. Eric meets with the motorcycle gang and hands them a piñata stuffed with drugs. Schmidt and Jenko follow, but they're furious with each other. Jenko keeps using the teacher brake in the driver's ed car to mess with Schmidt, and they end up crashing into one of the bikers. Now, instead of tailing the gang, they're being chased. A wild car chase breaks out, with Jenko and the gang exchanging gunfire. Schmidt, once again, chokes and fails to shoot one of the bikers. Tensions boil over, and the two start screaming at each other. Jenko accuses Schmidt of being in too deep, pointing out that Schmidt is even filling out college applications like he's trying to relive his high school years. Schmidt fires back, saying, "At least I know my Miranda rights, you idiot." Schmidt rushes back to the high school, but the performance has already begun. When he forces his way onto the stage, Molly feels humiliated and declares that she never wants to see him again. Things take a turn for the worse when Jenko tackles Schmidt, leading to a chaotic fistfight between them. As a result, the principal decides to expel both of them. Later at the church, Schmidt asks Captain Dixon if they're going to be scolded. Captain Dixon replies that he is simply going to fire them. Schmidt continues to try reaching out to Molly, but she ignores his calls. Meanwhile, Jenko starts packing his belongings to leave Schmidt's house. He tells Schmidt, "It's really sad. I genuinely thought we were like brothers. I would have taken a bullet for you." Eric arrives in his car and tells Schmidt and Jenko to get in. He drives them to a quiet alley and pulls out 2 guns, listing all the suspicious activities they've been involved in. Schmidt and Jenko fear he might shoot them, but Eric reveals that after witnessing their fight on stage, he realized they weren't actually cops. He hands them the guns and asks for their help with an important meeting involving his dealer and some bikers. The meeting is set to take place at prom. Schmidt and Jenko help each other get ready, and Schmidt asks Jenko to be his date. They arrive at prom in a white limo. They also bring along the nerds and several escorts as their dates. Schmidt spots Molly and attempts to confess his feelings, but she is under the influence of a designer drug. Eric takes them to the meeting, where they discover that the supplier is their gym teacher. The nerds are secretly recording the meeting, but Schmidt and Jenko worry about being recognized by the bikers. Initially, everything seems fine until Molly, in the midst of her drug-induced frenzy, starts banging on the door and accusing Schmidt of being a cop, causing everyone to draw their weapons. Molly bursts into the room, and the gym teacher immediately takes her hostage. Schmidt and Jenko are forced to drop their guns and brace for the worst when 2 of the bikers suddenly reveal themselves as undercover DEA agents. They've been infiltrating the biker gang for 5 years, and now Schmidt and Jenko have completely messed up their operation. One of the DEA agents even pulls off a fake nose, revealing a surprise cameo by Johnny Depp. A wild firefight breaks out, and both DEA agents get shot in the neck. As they lie dying, Johnny Depp's character apologizes to his partner, saying, "I'm sorry for how I treated you when we were undercover. The only approval I need is from my best friend." This touching moment hits Schmidt hard. Meanwhile, the gym teacher takes off with Molly and a bag of cash, while the bikers pursue him. Schmidt and Jenko join the chase, with all 3 groups speeding around the city in limos, exchanging gunfire. Running low on ammo, Jenko uses his AP chemistry knowledge to MacGyver a homemade explosive by mixing potassium nitrate from the shotgun shells with lithium batteries, tossing the concoction in an alcohol bottle into the biker's limo. The biker's limo explodes, and the blast forces the gym teacher's limo to crash. On foot, the chase continues as the gym teacher shoots at Schmidt. Jenko jumps in front of the bullets, taking 2 hits in the chest and 1 in the arm. Luckily, he's wearing a bulletproof vest, so he's not seriously injured. Schmidt is left to apprehend the gym teacher, and this time, he doesn't freeze. He shoots the gym teacher right in the groin, and both Schmidt and Jenko triumphantly recite the Miranda rights together. After the chaos settles, Schmidt and Jenko apologize to each other, mending their friendship. Schmidt then finds Molly and sincerely apologizes for everything, leading to a kiss between them. With their mission complete, Schmidt and Jenko return to the 21 Jump Street Church in triumph. Captain Dixon greets them with a framed copy of their first arrest report, commemorating their success. However, the celebration is cut short when Dixon reveals their next assignment, going undercover at college. Schmidt eagerly shouts yes, while Jenko, clearly dreading the idea, shouts no. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more interesting movie recaps.